Hey guys, Rhett here. Thanks for watching. I want to talk today about something that I've been talking a lot with my coaching clients about, and that is concerns about current interest rates. Now let's discuss that a little bit. We've talked in some prior videos about why interest rates are going up, right? The government is trying to cut down on inflation. They're trying to minimize the amount of wealth that we're able to receive quickly through real estate. So how do we slow down the real estate market? We increase rates to make it to the point where people have a tough time buying a lot of those median income between $100,000 and $600,000 homes, where those interest rates are going to create a monthly payment that's going to make things go from affordable to not affordable. Okay. Now, as far as from a real estate investor perspective, when we're financing property, what are some things that are going to be important for us to look at when we think about interest rates? Now, number one, I get a question a lot that is, Rhett, if we're talking about interest rates, right now, I have clients that are getting rates between 5.5% and 6.5%, but they're going up. They're going up, they're going up, they're going up, which is why I want to buy now, buy now, buy now, and lock something in before they're at 8, 8.5%, 9%, which they will be here in between 6 and 12, 18 months. But I've talked before, guys, about it doesn't matter if we continue to buy. If we're buying when the rates are low and buying when the rates are high, we're always going to finish strong because we can always refinance, and that's something extremely important. So for a lot of my clients who are buying right now, we're locking in all 30-year fixed rate loans, residential loans, okay? And even if it's 5.5%, 6.5%, close to 7%, it doesn't matter because they're long holds. And in 5 years from now, 7 years from now, we'll refinance them and we'll drop these rates from 6, 7% down to 3%, 3.5%, 4%. In the same time, we'll pull equity out of that unit and use that equity to buy more property. And we'll get a better rate on the current property that we have. Our payment will go down and our net will go up, not including all of the rental increases that we'll file from here to our refinance period. So it's extremely important, guys, to understand that a rate today is not a rate 10 years from now. And if you go back in time, you look at all of rates, yeah, guys, you look back in time, 7% is not a crazy rate. It's not. Yes, it's crazy, 8%. I mean, they're crazy now considering that we had 2 to 3% for the past 3-4 years. But in reality, those rates, as far as historically, are not that high, okay? But we understand too that when those rates drop, we are going to refinance. We're going to refinance. What's going to go up? Our profit's going to go up. Our net per month is going to go up. We're going to pull equity out of that property, right? And our cost is going to go down. So it's another reason why I say we're going to buy when it's high, we're going to buy when it's low, because we're going to always continually buy. And when all the rates go down, if we buy 10 properties when rates are up here, and everything drops down in a couple of years, we all have long hold properties, we can refinance all 10 of them at a different rate. Our margins will increase huge, our nets will go up, and we'll get a huge chunk of equity out. We'll get a huge chunk of cash that we can then deploy into other investments and other properties, okay? It's extremely, extremely important. Now, the difference between residential and commercial loans, I have a bunch of clients that use commercial loans, and something that they're very concerned about, for those of you who have never used commercial loans, most of commercial loans are structured. When you guys buy large commercial buildings, the structure of commercial loans is usually, the lenders that I use for commercial loans do what's called prime plus one. So they take a prime commercial rate, which is always higher than the residential rate, right? They take the prime commercial rate and they add 1 point to it. It's called prime plus one. Okay? And what happens is you have that prime plus one rate for usually a term of 3 years. After 3 years, they take the new prime rate and add plus one to that. Every 3 years, it's cyclical. Okay? So it changes every 3 years. Now, it's not an adjustable rate mortgage, but it's semi-fixed, right? It's not really fixed. You have it fixed for 3 years. Versus my clients right now who are locking in 30-year fixed rate loans. It's just insane on residential rental property, which is just crazy. So with commercial loans, it's a little bit more risky because, number one, commercial loans are higher as far as rates go. They're always higher than residential rates. They are not fixed for the entire term of the loan. They change every usually it's, somewhere between 2 and 5 years. Usually it's 3 years. They re-up. And the other thing about commercial loans is you can't finance them as long. There's no such thing as a 30-year commercial loan. Usually commercial loans are between 5 and 15 year max. Sometimes you might get a company that'll finance you over 20, but that's extremely rare. Usually the sweet spot is between 10 and 15 years is what commercial loans are termed out to be. So you think about that. You can have 5 different rate changes in that time if you have a 15-year loan. So we want to make sure, guys, that when we use financing, you guys understand that the interest rate shouldn't scare you, especially with residential. I know a lot of you guys out there are thinking about buying rental property, okay, not commercial rentals. But it's important to know the difference because if you use an LLC to buy your property, a lot of lenders will make you use a commercial loan. So it's important to know what is the difference between a commercial loan and a residential loan. What are the risks? What are the rate differences? How can they change? How do they fluctuate? Okay, so I know that adjustable rates aren't really a thing anymore. They used to be extremely popular in the early 2000s, which is one of the reasons why when everything collapsed and the rates were so high and the market collapsed and we had that giant real estate explosion in 2008 to 2010. A lot of it was because of adjustable rate mortgages, and they got so high people couldn't afford them. So they're kind of a thing of the past residentially, okay? There's no reason why we should ever get a non-fixed rate. I don't care about what the interest is. So if someone says to you, we'll give you an adjustable rate and it'll start at 3%, it doesn't matter. I'd rather lock in 6%, 7% and be able to refinance it, knowing what my payment's going to be every single month, every single year, be able to budget that out over the course of 30 years, see a schedule, right? An amortization schedule for the next 30 years versus having any kind of adjustable rate mortgage or adjustable rate financing. So it's extremely important, guys, that when we lock in these loans, you're not scared off by current interest rates. Don't compare them to the past couple of years at 2-3%. You can't do that. When they get back down there, we will refinance. Do not let these rates scare you off. Don't use it as an excuse. Stop making excuses. It's too easy to make excuses. In 4 years from now, if interest rates are 15%, you're going to say, oh, should have bought when the rate was 6.5%. I don't think they will be, but they're definitely going up, guys. So capitalize on this time. Buy now. Don't worry about what's going on around you. Don't worry about the noise. If we're focused on Section 8, we know that the need for Section 8, the demand for Section 8 is going to continue to go up. We know the supply is so low. Take advantage of the moment. Buy now. Get off your butts. Stop saying you're going to do it next year. Stop saying you're doing more research. You've already been researching for a year or 5 months or 6 months. You're ready. Let's go. Shoot me an email. Get in the coaching program. Let's start this thing today. We'll see you next time.